basic forcible entry, we're going to use the method gap set force. Before we start that, we're going to shock the door. Shock loading the door does a couple things for us. It identifies where the locks are, where it's strongest, and where the weak points are. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to start to weaken that on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start low, medium, and high. So as I shock loaded, I figured out that the middle of my door where my locks are were the strongest. Down in the bottom right here was about the weakest, and the same with the top. So that's where I'm going to start my gapping. Come over here. You can get a shot just in right here. So when I go to gap, I'm just going to set my foot in the door, get my adze in the door just like that, and I want to roll my adze up until it starts to crush the door in. And I want to work my way up the door. Alright, so now that I've gapped my door, I got a pretty good gap. And this is a decision point for me. Do I go bevel to the door or bevel to the jamb? So come up here real quick. So if I got a pretty good gap in the door, this is a decision point where I can go bevel to the door. If I don't get a very good gap, then I'm going to have to steer this tool around. I might go bevel to the jamb. So in this case, I'm probably going to go bevel to the door. So you can go back that way. So now after I've shocked the door and I've gapped it, now I'm ready to set the tool and force the door. Go on up. Okay. So I want to talk about my hitting position a little bit. We always want the axe perpendicular to my adze. If I go parallel with it, I lose the surface area a little bit and I increase my ability to miss and to hit the irons man. So he's going to strike it perpendicular to the adze. The entire time he's striking, I'm not looking at this at all. I'm looking at what's going on in the door. Okay? My commands that I'm going to call out are hit, stop, and drive. Okay? Hit, 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 drive. Up. Come on up here. Okay. So I drove this tool into the door so that the crotch of the tool is about the door, okay? If I go too shallow, the tool can spit out of the door, and if I go too deep, I can drive the tool all the way in the door, and then I lose it in the door. So now that I've buried the tool all the way to the crotch, now I'm ready to go to the door with it. Okay? You can step back a little bit if you want. Okay. So I went to the door here, okay? I got a couple of options. The door didn't open up on me, so what I want to do is make sure I capture my purchase. Now he came in with the axe and made sure that I got it. The other thing that I can do is I can stick wedges in the door. Either way, I don't want to lose my purchase. Once I've captured my purchase, I can pull the tool out of the door, reposition, finish off the door. Now, if he's got the axe in the door, he can help control it, or I can stick the tool back in and control it myself. All right. So with this door, we're going to demonstrate. We've already shock loaded the door, we've already gapped it, and we didn't get a good gap away from the jamb here. So now it's my decision point. I'm going to go bevel to the jamb now. And this allows me to get the tool in the door, steer it around the door, get it in the door without driving it into the jamb or the door frame. The downside to this is I lose leverage and I lose travel with the tool against the door. So I'm not going to get as much leverage, but I'm sacrificing that for my ability to get the tool in the door. Ready? Okay. Hit. 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 Okay. So as he's hitting this tool in the door, I'm holding constant pressure back this way. So every time that he hits it, I'm pulling it back, and again, I'm watching the tool go in the door, and I'm not watching him. Hit. 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 Drive. Now if my tool is in the door, same thing. I'm going to go to the door. Door didn't go. I can either pull my chalk or I can have him come in, capture my purchase. Once my progress is captured here, I can reposition the tool in the door. Control the door. Now my preference for going adze after I've opened the door a little bit and it didn't go, the preference for using the adze here is this is the greatest leverage on my tool. So once I get that door opened a little bit, I can set my adze in there, and that's where I'm going to get the greatest leverage going to the door. So some of the finer points or talking points about inward forcible entry when we're gapping the door is the rabbited jam right here. So one of the things that will happen a lot of times, if I have a wooden rabbited jam and I go to gap the door, sometimes what's going to happen is this rabbited jam is just going to peel away. And it's not going to allow you to gap the door, but that's okay. So if that happens to me, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue a little bit and chip away this rabbited jam. And all that's going to do is it's going to give me a good look at the door next to the frame. So it's actually going to give me a good purchase point for my tool to go in right next to the frame. So if that happens to you, it's not a big deal. You don't need to panic. Just chip a little bit more of the rabbited jam out. Then I've got a good spot to set my tool. So in this scenario, we're going to demonstrate some single firefighter. The principles for conventional forcing entry are the same as single firefighters with two firefighter. So same thing, I'm going to come up to the door, I'm going to shock it, gap it, once I got a gap, I'm going to go to conventional force. Yeah, go right there. Okay. So because I didn't get a very good gap in this, I'm going to go bevel to the jam. Okay. So what I want to do is set my tool, same thing. I'm going to be watching my tool in the door. I'll tuck my axe handle into my armpit, and this is how I'm going to strike the tool. Talk a little bit about confined area forcible entry. So that you may be in a situation where you're going to have to set your tool, but you might not have the room on this side if we're going bevel to the jam to set your tool. So I might not have the area to swing the axe back and forth to make contact with the adze end of the Halligan. So what I can do is with the 30-inch pro bar, it already has shoulders on it that I can kind of use. I can set the axe on it and use it as a slide hammer. If you don't have that, let's say if you got a 34-inch pro bar, this is a three-piece Halligan. If you have something else that's similar, one thing that you can do is you can take a piece of chain link and weld it in and kind of flatten the top off. That'll allow me to do the same thing where I can use the axe as a slide hammer. You set the Halligan in the door, and the axe can slide on top right here. Just hit it into the door. Good.